Training for Muskogee Wellness Initiative. This training will cover selected provisions of the Open Meeting Act, the City Charter, ethics, conflicts of interest, board duties, and parliamentary procedure. The Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. The Open Meeting Act is intended to encourage and facilitate and inform citizenry's knowledge of government, or in other words, let people know what's going on. Help citizens understand the governmental process and governmental problems, and make the meetings convenient and open to the public. The rules of open meetings. All meetings of major public bodies where business is discussed are required to be open to the public. If it's not on the agenda, it cannot be discussed. The discussion must be limited to the particular agenda item. Be careful about deviating topics. Example, if the agenda is about revising park rules, you can't talk about which parks need to be mowed. The agenda must be written in plain language and must indicate the topic to be discussed and the potential action to be taken. The vote of each member must be publicly cast. Roll call voting is not required, but it does ensure each member has cast his or her vote. Minutes are required to be taken. Violations are a misdemeanor plus civil liability. There are 4 types of meetings. Regular, these require notice of meetings to be filed with the city clerk by December 15th. They must be posted on the city website. The notice and agenda must be posted 24 hours before the meeting. If the location, date, or time changes, 10 days notice must be given. A special meeting. 48 hours advance notice of the meeting, including time, place, and location. Weekends do count. Agenda must be posted 24 hours in advance. Weekends do not count. Agenda item of new business is not permitted on special meeting agendas. Emergency meetings. These require as much notice as practical and involves a situation involving injury or damage to persons or property or immediate financial loss. And a reconvene meeting. This requires notice to be stated at the time of recess. The meeting is typically used for finishing up business or taking a break. The agenda cannot change between the time of the recess and reconvening. Executive sessions. Executive sessions are an approved exception to the general rule that a meeting must be open to the public. It is only allowed in certain circumstances. There are 7 which are applicable to cities and 3 for municipal boards. The 3 that we'll discuss are discussing the purchase or appraisal of real property, confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of its attorney, determines that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest. For purposes of conferring on matters pertaining to an economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to remain or to locate within their jurisdiction, if public disclosure of the matter discussed would interfere with the development of the products or services, or if the public disclosure would violate the confidentiality of the business. In executive sessions, motions cannot be made. Charter provisions. City Charter 703. The council, by ordinance, may establish advisory boards or commissions prescribing their membership, qualifications, and tenure to perform such functions and duties in any area of municipal concern as the council deems necessary or desirable. The council may delegate to such boards or commissions under proper standards any duty and responsibility in connection with any municipal activity with the power to enact regulations with reference thereto. No such boards or commissions, however, may expend city funds, enter into contracts, leases, or other arrangements involving public property without the approval of the council by resolution or ordinance. Charter 704. Council appointees to all boards, commissions, and trusts will, with the exception of the Merit System Board and the Civil Service Commission, be for the initial term provided in the charter or by ordinance, and appointee will not be eligible for reappointment until 1 year has elapsed. This only applies to a full term. Example, a person filling an unexpired term can be reappointed to serve a full term. Muskogee Wellness Initiative Ordinances, City Code 2-530 through 2-540, Meetings and Boards. The MWI consists of a 9-member board, inclusive of 1 member being a licensed physician and 1 member being the chairman of the Turning Point or a designee. Ex officio members, Parks and Recreation Director or designee, the mayor, and the director of the health department or the successor. Failure to attend 3 meetings within a 1-year rolling period results in automatic forfeiture of office. 5 members constitute a quorum. They must meet at least once per year, and the board shall elect a chairman. Duties of the board. Purpose: to serve in an advisory capacity to the Parks and Recreation Department and the City Council on matters of health, wellness, and well-being. Powers: Give advisory opinions to the Parks and Recreation Director. Recommend resolutions, ordinances, which fulfill the purpose of the coalition. With approval of the council, apply for funding for programs for both public and private sources. Submit, as a part of the Parks and Recreation budget, its purposes for expenditure of funds solicited, and adopt rules and bylaws for its own procedures. The City of Muskogee Code of Ethics. Board members are charged with complying with both the letter and spirit of the laws and policies affecting the operations of government, being independent, impartial, and fair in their judgments and actions, not using their positions for personal gain, and conducting deliberations and processes openly, unless legally confidential, in an atmosphere of respect and civility. The conduct of board members should be above reproach and avoid the appearance of impropriety, abusive conduct, verbal attacks on character, and motives should be avoided. Board members should be prepared, listen courteously and attentively to discussions and focus on the business at hand. Comments which are not germane to the discussion should be avoided. Board members should not use public resources not available to the general public, such as city staff, time, equipment, supplies, or facilities for private or personal gains. Board members should be mindful of their roles as stewards of public money and should not present a position nor advocate in the interest of any private entity. If you are aware of unethical conduct, state it, or if it requires an investigation, notify the city attorney. Conflicts of interest. Article 10, Section 11 of the Oklahoma Constitution prohibits benefiting either directly or indirectly from the use of public funds in the hands of monies to be raised through their agency. Oklahoma Statute 11, Section 8, 113. No municipal officer or any business in which the officer has proprietary interest, 25% or more, shall engage in 1. Selling, buying, or leasing real or personal property to or from the municipality. 2. Contracting with the municipality. And 3. Buying bonds or evidence of indebtedness from the municipality. An exception is when banking officers or where competitive bids were let and at least 2 or more bids were received, excluding banking officers. Conflicts per city charter. Section 901. Personal financial interest. Any city officer who has a substantial financial interest, direct or indirect, by reason of ownership of stock in any corporation, in any contract with the city, or in the sale of any land, materials, supplies, or services to the city, or to a contractor supplying the city, shall disclose that interest in writing to the city manager and shall refrain from voting upon or otherwise participating in his or her official capacity in making of such sale or in the making or performance of such contract. Any such persons who willfully conceals such a substantial financial interest or willfully violates the requirements of the section shall be guilty of malfeasance in office or position and shall forfeit his or her position. Violation of this section with the knowledge express or implied of the person or corporation contracting with or making a sale to the city shall render the contract or sale voidable by the city manager or city council. Parliamentary procedure. How to make a motion. Step 1. The member obtains recognition by the chair. Step 2. Member states the motion. I move to approve the minutes of July 8th, 2019 meeting. This is a motion and it is a main motion. Step 3. Another member seconds the motion. Recognition is not necessary. It need not be in favor of the motion, may substitute, and the member who seconds does not need to vote in favor. Step 4. The chair restates the motion for the assembly. It has been moved and seconded that the minutes of the July 8th, 2019 meeting be approved. The motion is debated, the chair calls for a roll call vote, and the chair announces the results of the vote. Parliamentary Notes. A main motion is one that brings business before the body. An example of the main motion is one which follows. Move to approve the minutes of the July 8th, 2019 meeting. Any member can amend a main motion, but it must be done prior to a second. An example, the main motion is made, but the second motion is given. Another member makes a substitute motion. If the substitute motion receives a second, it is voted on immediately and without debate. If it wins, it becomes the main motion and then can be debated. If it fails, the original motion remains on the floor awaiting a second. If no second is received, the main motion fails. Another example, one member moves to approve of authorizing parks to close at dusk. A member makes a substitute motion to approve setting the park closing time during the summer at 8:30 and during the winter at 5:30. Instead of making a subsidiary motion, a member may state that if the main motion fails, he will offer a substitution. This lets the body know other alternatives so it can make an informed decision before all votes are counted.